Just one mistake my husband made, and everything we had built from scratch came crashing down. I always had this uneasy feeling that once my husband became wealthy, something terrible would happen. When it finally came true, it left me deeply unsettled. We were not a rich couple, just struggling to survive. I was a petty trader, trying my best to sell goods. But business was tough since customers always bargained too low. My husband, a real estate agent, hadn't made any sales for a while. One day, on my way to the market, a prophet stopped me and gave me a strange prophecy. She warned that my husband would suddenly become rich, but then everything would fall apart, and we would be back to where we started. Shocked, I rejected it immediately and walked away. But she called me back and told me that all I needed was prayer. That same night, my daughter had a nightmare. She told me about it, and it was the exact same thing the prophet had said. Afraid, we prayed together. The next day, I went to see my pastor. He prayed with me and encouraged me to keep praying. When I told my husband, he brushed it off as nothing. Around that time, there was a big deal my husband was supposed to close. Someone wanted to buy a large number of houses. But the next morning, he learned that the man had died suddenly. My husband was devastated. He came home broken, and I tried to console him while still seeking prayers from my pastor and church members. Not long after, my husband came home with great news. He had finally closed a huge deal. We were overjoyed. At last, we could pay our daughter's school fees, and he even started buying me gifts. That first big deal opened many more opportunities, and soon he was closing multiple transactions. Within a few months, we moved into a fancier house. Things were looking up. But my husband became very busy and often came home late. Whenever I tried to pray with him, he would say he was too tired. Still, we were happy. Then one night, my daughter had another terrible dream. The same recurring one, exactly what the prophet had warned me about. I prayed with her again, but I couldn't shake off the fear. When I told my husband, as usual, he dismissed it as nothing. Soon after, disaster struck. While driving, my husband got distracted and hit someone. He was arrested, but assured me it was nothing serious. I was worried and ran to my pastor, who prayed for us. The next day, we received a letter ordering us to vacate our home within 14 days, because the land was illegal. My husband was still in prison, and everything began to crumble. Eventually, he was released, but more misfortunes followed. Our daughter was in an accident. At that point, I told my husband that I couldn't take it anymore, that I believed something spiritual was behind all this. That was when he finally confessed. He admitted that during his hard times, a friend had taken him to a diviner, who gave him soap to bathe with for a few days to wash away bad luck. He had used it, hoping things would get better. I was shocked. It was clear he had opened a dangerous door. We went straight to our pastor, who prayed for him after he confessed his sins to God. From that moment, things began to change. We stayed in the church for a while, starting life all over again. Then one day, my husband received a call from a client who entrusted him with 100 flats. He rushed home with the good news, and this time we prayed over it. He signed the contract the next day, and when he showed me, I felt joy like never before. That night, my daughter also had a good dream, a sign that our prayers were working. A few months later, my husband moved us into an even bigger and better house than before. Finally, things had truly turned around for good. Here's my take on this movie. God's time is truly the best. Sometimes we get carried away by struggles and the desire to make it quickly, forgetting that shortcuts often come with consequences. What stood out for me is how prayers, patience, and trust in God eventually turned things around for this family. No matter how long it takes, when God steps in, His blessings bring peace, joy, and no sorrow attached. If there's a movie or series you want me to recap, drop it in the comment section below.